Do you hear that? That's the sound of the lobbies in that have been nominated for this category of Quietest Lobby of 2022. That's right. It's the Shacknews Game of the Year Awards. We're back. And yeah, it's Quietest Lobby time. These are games. It sounds like it's a poke, but really these are games we think deserve more attention. We want more people to be playing these games, and their lobbies are too quiet, and we want to bring them to your attention and make those lobbies loud. So, without further ado, let's talk Quietest Lobbies of 2022. There are a lot of good games in this category this year, and I think I'm going to start off with Asif's nomination since he could not be here today, and it's a good one. And David, it's also your nomination as well, I believe. Halo Infinite. Wow.
Yeah, I feel like Sam could speak to this better than anybody because he has the most emotional investment in this franchise out of anyone on staff, I believe.
Everyone's copying my homework. Yeah, Halo Infinite. I love
Sam,
Halo.
can I make your point by asking you a question?
Okay.
How many people should be playing Halo Infinite on average on a day on Steam?
A lot?
Ideally, like what would you think? Like, how many people should be playing Halo Infinite on Steam each day?
More than 20,000.
Okay, 4,000 the last 2
Yeah.
months, and that's up. That's
Yeah.
up. Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's a sad state of affairs, especially for a game that I love so much. I will still defend. I think that Halo at its core is a good game. The gameplay is fine. Like it's fun. I find it fun. For a lot of people, I know that they might disagree with that. I think the gunplay is awesome. I think the movement is great. But there's a lot of infrastructure that's surrounding it that has led to it being some quietest lobbies. It seems like 343 might not know how to draw in the player base to keep them coming back. Personally, from my own experience, I play from in the Oceanic servers, and there's just not a lot of matches where I can get a good connection. It's a coin toss as to whether I'm sitting in a 15 millisecond lobby or whether I'm fighting people with 180 ping, and it's just heartbreaking to see a game that I championed for quite a long time just sort of sink to this low where I wish more people were in, so I had more evenly matched games with a good connection.
It is shocking how fast Halo Infinite stagnated. Like really, like we were playing it for a hot minute there, we started a whole live stream show based around big team battles, basically, that has outlived Halo Infinite in a lot of ways, honestly. Yeah, I don't know, it just feels like it feels like they gave up in some ways,
Sam, do you
like
think
they
it's
just
because
kind of were like, well, I guess that's it, and walked away almost.
do you feel like
Yeah,
Sam,
I
it's
don't-
because the gameplay is just like kind of older-ish? Like there's no like perks or like there's all the weapons are pickups. There's no like loadouts. Like do you think that maybe has affected the?
Man, who's to say? I still play Halo Infinite with a good mate of mine who is fully into the Twitch tutors. He's fully into PvP, and whenever we play, he's like, "Man, Halo feels good to play. It just feels so good. It's snappy. The gunplay is awesome. The aiming is sick. I don't know, man. It's free to play, so there's the barrier of entry is about as low as it could be, and I don't know, man. There's just the there's a lot for people to play and a lot of options for people to play, and I think that a lot of other games at the moment have a more solid infrastructure uplifting them, and games recognize that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead,
Well,
David.
I was just gonna say, for me, like I've never been the biggest Halo fan, but I do like how the series feels. I'm with you there, Sam. I think it's a great feeling franchise, and Halo Infinite is arguably the snappiest. It's that feel refined to perfection, I feel like. But I think that a lot of 343 struggles have been kind of public, which I don't think helps perception. Co-op. I don't even know if co-op is out yet, but it's something that I feel like should have been released a lot sooner in that game, because online co-op I know split screen is like part and parcel of Halo, but online co-op would have been pretty interesting to get in there. I don't think there are many classic maps available. I mean, Halo is a retro franchise now. It's over 20 years old. I think people want to come back to a lot of classic maps from Halo 1. I think rolling those out like 1 or 2 a month could have been big events that 343 could have used to almost like Splatfest, make it a big to-do, get people coming back in.
Yeah, it
But
was an interesting choice behind that.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
doesn't seem like 343 is able to really stick the landing here, even though they have a blueprint going back to, let's say, 2004 with Halo 2 specifically.
Yeah, definitely. And you're totally right. As a long-time Halo player, I would have loved to see some more OG maps, but 343 has specifically said that they didn't want to do that, and I think that
That's
is a bit of an oversight.
That's not great, but to me, it's like Halo Infinite kind of Molyneux. They overpromised and then didn't deliver on a lot of what they promised, and all of a sudden, it's a game that's just kind of stuck in a beta.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely feels like it is sort of treading water, and I can definitely see what you're saying in terms of overpromising, but I almost would say it's not overpromising to expect split screen in a Halo game, and to have that removed and not delivered. It's kind of like, you think Halo, you think couch co-op. You think Halo, you think sitting in a room with your mates.
No,
Something that I'm curious about is, first of all, what other shooters out there are platform specific? I understand Halo's on PC and it's on Xbox, but like, how many actual FPS ongoing shooters are confined to? You know what I mean? Like, they're not on PlayStation, and I'm wondering if that, obviously it hurts, but it's one factor, I think. There you go. But the other question is, you're talking about all this classic Halo. The people who know classic Halo are our age. So you're not getting, I think that maybe the formula isn't as appealing to like new audiences that are younger. And the people who are our age don't have the time to put into these games on a daily, weekly basis to maybe like make those lobbies feel more alive. I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm not putting that out there as a fact, but like, kids today who are just getting into games in the last like 5 years, they don't know classic Halo. They're not looking at that formula and being nostalgic. They're just looking at it and saying, well, it's not like the other things that I'm playing.
Halo is it's an interesting conundrum, because I do feel like Halo has always felt like Halo, which is a good thing for Halo fans, but it definitely isn't reaching new audiences in the way that enduring franchises need to. But also, 343 is not using that to bring people our age back to Halo. They would do that by, making sure couch and online co-op are implemented, and by rolling out classic maps. The thing is, I would say since like maybe 2015, a little bit earlier, but let's pinpoint 2015, everything retro has been in vogue. People would be over the moon if they would bring back, Blood Gulch or other classic maps, because that appeals to this retro audience who is just super precious about their childhoods and wanting to relive anything from back in that day, So 343 is, whether they mean to or not, they're tailoring it toward an audience that they don't seem to know how to reach or how to grow.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting problem for them.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about 343 not. I think it's commendable to not try and like create this hegemony of like, oh, it's like Fortnite, and it's also like Modern Warfare. It's Halo, and if
it's Halo as a service.
Yeah, it's Halo as a service. I think that if Forge takes off, we will see that Halo won't be in the Quietest lobby, next year nominations, because what players are doing with Forge is, quite frankly, groundbreaking. Some of the stuff I've seen is, these people need developer jobs.
Someone made a Toy Story map, like a 1-for-1 Andy's room map. Yeah,
the mechanics that they're able to embed into the system there's some exciting stuff coming.
All right. Well, I would like to move on if we could, because I want Ozzy to get a chance to state his case, just in case he has to hop away. He's a busy man. He's in demand. Ozzy Mejia is the wind, and he must blow away.
Earlier this year, I was in an interesting situation because, like I do, I get asked to cover a game ahead of its release. I got asked to cover Ubisoft's Roller Champions. And when I went to go try it out, and I started taking notes for what to put in the preview, I go, "Oh, when's this game coming out?" And they go, "Wednesday." I go, "I'm sorry, what?" Yeah, it turned out that it was a review event, and that the game was just coming out of nowhere, just like out of the blue, coming out like the next day. So not a lot of people knew about it. And sure enough, within like about a month or so, there were reports coming out that, oh yeah, the lobbies are filled with bots. And the sad thing about that to me is I played Roller Champions. I like Roller Champions. It's a 3v3 roller jam type game. Uh, there's a lot of teamwork involved. You're going around a rink and shooting the ball through a hoop. It's actually in practice, it's a lot of fun. I really had a good time with it. Now there are things wrong with it, like the character models look terrible. Is probably the biggest one because when you're a free to play game and your main incentive is to dress up your models and your models look ugly, that's not good. But other than that, but the actual game itself is really fun. And it was a bad sign to me that Ubisoft Montreal had to come out like a few months later and be like, no, we swear, you guys, we're not going to we're not going to be gone in a year. They're not going to shut down our servers within 6 months. We're going to be around. So to me, I would like to see it do better. And I believe at the time that we're recording this, they announced a Steam release. So the Steam release is coming like later this month. And I think the player count has grown slightly, although I don't know how many of that is bots. But still, like, you don't see a lot of 3v3 roller jam games out there. And I thought this was a really good time.
Nice. Well, if that's all you have to say about it, Ozzy, we can move on. Who else would like to throw their nomination into the ring?
I will.
Greg Berkelton Burke.
I really love asymmetrical games, and Dragon Ball Breakers came out, and they didn't have like any marketing budget for it, and it kind of just did a really soft launch, and then kind of teetered off because it got buried in other AAA titles. But I think it's a really interesting game. Like its concept, it's 7v1, and you play 7 just regular people in the Dragon Ball Z universe, not heroes, against like Majin Buu and Frieza and stuff, and you have to complete a series of objectives to time travel away and escape from the monster. And I thought it was a really interesting game. There's a ton of little niche mechanics in it that make it different from like Dead by Daylight or Evil Dead the game. And I just feel like it got a really bad launch because it didn't have any marketing. And like nobody knows it even existed. And I also think people watch Dragon Ball Z to play, Vegeta and Goku, and they don't want to play somebody who doesn't have any power, which is sad because it has a lot to go. And a 7v1 is such an interesting thing. I just think that's amazing. So if anyone likes Dragon Ball, they should check it out for sure. But I think it's a game that deserves a nomination.
Isn't it really broken though? Isn't that one of the issues with it? Like it has like a ton of issues.
I mean, like whenever someone is a survivor and they lose the match in like 2 minutes, they say the game's broken, right? That's the thing. Like there's a lot of like anger, especially in the asymmetrical game, because something's not fair if you don't win.
Well, I meant more from a technical issue standpoint than a game balance issue.
Oh, I mean, I haven't run into any noticeable problems, but like, I mean, your own mileage may vary.
Okay, TJ, you played some of this game too, right?
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. Mostly because of the queue system. It has this cockamamie queue system where you queue up as the side you want, and if you don't get your choice, then your queue priority goes up by 1 point, and then when you finally get the side you want, it reduces that queue priority back down to 0. And the reason why that sucks is because everyone wants to play villain, and I swear I'll have to like sit there. I want to play villain too, at least once or twice here and there, but like I had to sit there for like 10 games at a time watching this key priority thing go up before I ever even got a chance to play villain. And then I lost immediately. And then I went back down to 0 and I have to wait more matches just to even play one half of the game. It's just, I don't know.
That's tough. That is tough. The queue system in asymmetrical games is tough. I mean, I fell off Evil Dead because I want to play Survivor, and Survivor queues are like 15, 20 minutes. Like, it's ridiculously long, like, to wait in that queue. And, like, I liked that, the idea of, like, you have a rotation, so the longer you play Survivor, the higher chance you'll be able to play the monster or the villain. But like, what's the alternative though? Like, you know, 20-minute queue waiting as the villain, that would suck. You know?
Reducing the queue priority by a few points once you get the role makes sense to me. Reducing it to 0 after you get your role is infuriating. Like, for how long you have to wait to get that role, it's so obnoxious to me. I think you're right, Greg. I think it's an interesting idea. I just think it's executed poorly in a few ways.
Mm-hmm. I think the parts of that is because not many people are playing it, so they're having trouble with queues in general, I think, and that's what was one of their experiments to try to fix the issue, which is always interesting in multiplayer games.
Well, all right, Dragon Ball Breakers, and you know what? There's no popping and locking in a game that has the word breakers in it.
Yeah.
There's no electric boogaloo whatsoever, and I think that's a missed opportunity. They could have made it a rhythm game. That's all I'm saying. We have a couple more nominations to go, so I think let's keep moving it along. Morgan, do you want to give a shout out to your nomination?
First, unfortunately, the
Wait,
queue.
you were
Oh.
cut off at the beginning there. Can you say that again?
Yeah, I nominated Death First, Let It Die. Unfortunately, the queues in that game pretty immediately, I would say, kind of fell off, especially on computer like Steam. If you look at the reviews for Steam, it's just people complaining that there's nobody playing the game.
No, I'm looking at Steam DB right now, and it's got 12 people in game.
Wow.
Oh my God.
12.
That's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. It's a good game. I really think that maybe in some ways it would have been better had it because there was a multiplayer-ish component in the regular Let It Die, but it wasn't like actually like live. It's like asymmetric multiplayer where you can raid someone's room and like steal their resources and you can like set up defense and traps. And I think that the way that that was handled was really, really good. I think if it had some kind of element like that in Death Verse, or like more single player focused or something that doesn't require other people online, it would have done a little better. But yeah, Death Verse, unfortunately, not a lot of people playing. But I think it's fun.
Sounds like they let it die though.
A
Like it's in the title. Like like oh man. They're just like, no, just let it die. It's fine. Shh, just go to sleep. Go to sleep, little Lobby. It'll be over soon. Oh man. Well, I mean, it's not. I don't know how well Gundam Evolution is doing either, honestly, but it's getting my nomination, and I believe yours as well, TJ.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing: Overwatch 2 comes out. They're like pulling characters, and they're limiting who you can play in each match, and all sorts of other drama and controversy surrounding the company behind the game. And then you got Bandai Namco saying, well, what if we gave you Overwatch with giant robots? And like you can play as whoever you want, and then we're gonna like sell you more giant robots down the line if you want, or you can just keep grinding away with what you got. I like Gundam Evolution. I think that you need a balanced team to be good at Gundam Evolution, but you could say that about most hero shooters like it.
Yeah. I reviewed Overwatch 2 and Gundam Evolution around the same time, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was going back and forth between these two games, I gave Gundam Evolution the lower score for balancing and certain other aspects. But I legitimately had more fun with Gundam Evolution. And like I said it at the end of my review, I hope that they continue to iterate upon this, bring more mobile suits in, and continue to expand this idea, because I legitimately believe that it's a funner prospect than Overwatch in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 isn't bad, but it's just more Overwatch to me. And I mean, I know that people argue that it's not, like 5v5 changes things up. To me, I didn't have that experience playing it. extensively. It felt like more Overwatch, and despite the fact that it had a can of polish on it, nothing was all that spectacular about it to me.
Yeah,
Um,
your headline for Overwatch 2 paraphrased the Malibu Stacy with a new hat quote from The
Yeah.
Simpsons.
Exactly.
And I think that's an apt quote there.
Like,
for sure.
DJ, you know what would help Gundam Evolution have more players? If it released in more areas like Australia and New Zealand. But for some reason, they just
I think
not
it might
available
be.
here.
That's got to be a network thing.
Is it not out yet? Because I think it may be out at this point.
I think it
Scheduled to
just
be
came to
added after
consoles.
season 3. So if season 3 has released, then
Is it not available on like your PlayStation 5?
It launched on
last time I
consoles
checked,
on
it was
November 30th.
in Australia. Oh, good.
I don't know. If it
Okay, well,
launched
it's
in
unavailable
Australia.
on Steam, and
Well, that's your problem, man.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah. So, like, I guess that's their problem too. Fair enough, but I think it speaks to
Yeah.
the idea that we want it to be available to more people and
exactly.
more people to play it. Fair. So you're just backing us up, really.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
100% what I'm doing. Yeah.
I also just love the way they translated a lot of these classic robots into like different roles in a hero shooter universe. Like I'm a Sazabi player often. Like I love the ability of Sazabi to be able to like throw the axe and then move on to the axe wherever it lands, and like get up in there and just blast people with that close range shotgun. I also love GM Sniper. Like when you hit headshots in that game, it feels so satisfying. And I just they did a good job of creating cool maps and cool combat cool combat objectives, and then making matches feel pretty dang fun. And yes, it's lopsided because I think that there's some balancing issues, but it's also something that they're working on frequently. And I hope they continue to grow this game, because I really do feel like it's one of the few Overwatch contenders I've ever played that I really had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, I think it's just missing a lot of. They need bigger Gundams that more people are familiar with, because there's only like 2 or 3 that I think like are really in the like top tier of fandom that are in there right now. Yeah. So yeah, I think it needs to keep going. Definitely needs to like find a way to balance the lobbies more, which will balance the gameplay more. But yeah, I'm with you on this one, TJ. And with that, does anyone else have any nominations for this category? All right. Well, it sounds like we can get down to the voting. What do you say? All right, Steve. Where would you like?
I'm going with Dragon Ball. That'll be my vote.
All right. David O'Craddock.
We'll go with Halo. This is a tentpole franchise that used to be, mentioned in the same breath as Super Mario Brothers 20 years ago, and I just feel like it's kind of fallen off, and there's really no reason for it to. I would like to see this come back.
I don't know. Denny.
I'm gonna go out on a limb with Gundam. I think there is some potential there for it to really be something special moving forward. If they can get people actually playing the game again, some support maybe.
Yeah. Donovan.
Halo Infinite.
All right, Greg.
Yeah, Morgan made a really good case for. Is it Deathverse? Was that what it was? Yeah, it sounds like a really interesting game, and you need a game with a community, for it to really flourish. And so I'm gonna go with Deathverse.
All right, TJ.
Man, I love Deathverse so much, and you're right. It sucks that there's only a handful of people playing it. I'm gonna stay with Gundam because I love Gundam.
I feel that. It's giant robots. Any game, giant robots. Come on, that's all there is to it. Ozzy.
I'm gonna stick with Roller Champions.
All right, you're my little roller champion, Ozzy. You always will be. Morgan.
I'm gonna stick with Deathverse.
All right, Bill.
I remember when Halo was revealed and everyone was like, Sam was like, this is going to be good. And everyone mocked him for months on end. And then it came out and Asif was like, oh my God, Halo's good. And we were all like, wow, Halo's good. And then we were on the Halo train. And now I don't know what happened, but there's a mystery here to this quiet lobby, and I have to vote for Halo because it has been an absolute roller coaster of like a year and a half of figuring this out.
It was good right up until it wasn't.
Yeah. All right. So Sam, I know you're a big Gundam Evolution fan, but
You know it, man. I mean, for
All
Halo
right.
Infinite to have 1% of the population on Steam from launch, I've got to put my vote towards Halo.
All right. And let's see. I believe Asif's vote goes towards Halo as well. And that leaves my vote. I'm sticking with Gundam Evolution. I want more giant robot shooty, blow them up. But we do have a clear winner for the quietest lobby. It's Halo Infinite. Did you catch that, Sam?
I did. I
Halo Infinite.
don't know if I want to clap or not, but
I'm gonna bang. It's gonna bang the gavel very gently.
just